The biggest lie you keep telling yourself. The chimp told himself a lie every day. A small lie, a harmless lie. A lie so common that almost everyone believes it. The lie was simple. I'll do it later. The chimp didn't think this lie was dangerous. In fact, it felt responsible, reasonable, comforting. After all, he wasn't saying no. He wasn't quitting. He wasn't giving up. He was simply moving the task into the future. Or so he thought. Tomorrow sounded harmless. Tomorrow sounded productive. Tomorrow sounded like a plan. But something strange kept happening. Tomorrow arrived, and the task was still there. Then tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. Next month became next year. And before the chimp realized it, years had disappeared. The scary part is that nobody notices this happening. Nobody wakes up and says, today, I will waste 10 years of my life. It happens quietly, one delay at a time, one excuse at a time, one tomorrow at a time. The chimp first noticed this when he found an old notebook. Inside were goals he had written years earlier. Learn a new skill, start a business, get in shape, read more books, build a better life. The strange thing was that those goals still existed, not because they were completed, because they were postponed again and again and again. The notebook felt like a time machine. It showed the chimp something painful. He wasn't stuck because he lacked dreams. He was stuck because he kept delaying action. Many people think failure comes from making bad decisions. Sometimes that's true, but often failure comes from making no decision at all. Because every time you delay action, life keeps moving. Time does not pause. The clock does not wait. The future keeps arriving, whether you are ready or not. The chimp used to believe he had plenty of time. Most people do. Young people believe they have decades. Older people believe they have another year. Everyone assumes there will be a better moment later. But later is a strange place. Everyone plans to go there. Very few people actually arrive. The chimp realized that later is often just another word for never. Think about how many things people say they will do later. Exercise, save money, start a business, write a book, call their parents, learn a language, follow a dream. Most of these goals don't die because they are impossible. They die because they are constantly postponed. The chimp began wondering why the brain loves later so much. The answer surprised him. Because later feels free. Doing something now has a cost. It requires effort, energy, focus, discomfort. But later feels painless. Later allows you to escape the cost while keeping the illusion of progress. That illusion is powerful. When the chimp said, I'll do it later, he felt relief. The pressure disappeared. The task moved away. His mind became comfortable again. But the task never truly disappeared. It simply waited. And while one task is manageable, dozens of postponed tasks become heavy. The chimp noticed something. The more unfinished tasks he accumulated, the more stressed he felt. His mind became crowded, not with action, with reminders. Each unfinished promise occupied mental space. Each delay became invisible weight. Eventually, the chimp wasn't carrying one task. He was carrying hundreds. Some people think procrastination is laziness, but often it is avoidance. The chimp wasn't avoiding work. He was avoiding discomfort. There is a difference. The work itself was rarely the problem. The feeling before the work was the problem. The uncertainty, the effort, the fear of failure, the fear of looking foolish, the fear of discovering he wasn't as good as he hoped. Those emotions felt uncomfortable. So the brain offered a simple solution. Do it later. And the chimp accepted. Again and again. The problem is that avoidance grows. The more you avoid something, the larger it appears. A small task becomes a medium task. A medium task becomes a giant task. A giant task becomes overwhelming. Eventually, the chimp wasn't avoiding the task. He was avoiding the feeling attached to the task. That's why procrastination is dangerous. It doesn't reduce discomfort. It increases it. The chimp learned this while trying to start a project. The project only required 1 hour. 1 hour. That's all. But he delayed it for weeks. Every day, the project felt larger. Every day, it felt harder. Every day, it felt more intimidating. Finally, he forced himself to begin. And something shocking happened. The task wasn't difficult at all. Most of the suffering had existed only in his imagination. The chimp discovered a truth. The anticipation of discomfort is often worse than the discomfort itself. Many people spend weeks avoiding something that takes minutes to complete. Not because the task is difficult, because the mind exaggerates it. The chimp started paying attention to his excuses. They sounded intelligent, reasonable, logical. I need more time. I need more information. I need better conditions. I'll start on Monday. I'll start next month. Every excuse sounded different, but they all meant the same thing. Later, the chimp realized that procrastination wears many masks. Sometimes it looks like preparation. Sometimes it looks like research. Sometimes it looks like planning. Sometimes it even looks like productivity. But if action never happens, it is still procrastination. That realization changed everything. The chimp stopped asking, when should I start? And started asking, why not now? The question was uncomfortable, but it exposed the lie immediately. Most of the time, there was no good reason to wait. Only fear, only uncertainty, only habit. The chimp began experimenting. Whenever he caught himself saying, I'll do it later, he forced himself to take one tiny action immediately. Not finish the task. Just start. Open the document. Put on the shoes. Send the email. Write one sentence. Read one page. The result surprised him. Starting was usually the hardest part. Once movement began, resistance weakened. The task became easier. Momentum appeared. The chimp realized that action creates clarity. Thinking rarely does. People wait because they want certainty. But certainty often arrives after action, not before. The chimp spent years trying to think his way into a better future. Eventually, he learned that action works better than analysis. Motion works better than intention. Execution works better than imagination. One day, the chimp imagined meeting his future self. Not 10 years older, not wiser, not more successful, just older. The future chimp looked tired, regretful, disappointed. The future chimp asked a simple question. Why do you keep waiting? The chimp had no answer, because the truth was painful. He wasn't waiting for a better moment. He was waiting for discomfort to disappear. But discomfort never disappears. Growth always requires it. The future chimp pointed to two lives. One life was built through action, the other through delay. The difference between them wasn't talent, intelligence, luck, or resources. The difference was time. One chimp invested time, the other postponed it, and the results were completely different. That was the moment the chimp understood the true cost of later. Later steals opportunities. Later steals momentum. Later steals confidence. Later steals years. And eventually later steals potential. The biggest tragedy is not failure. The biggest tragedy is never finding out what could have happened. Never discovering what you were capable of. Never testing your limits. Never becoming the person you could have become. Because you kept waiting. The chimp finally understood the biggest lie he kept telling himself. It wasn't, I can't. It wasn't, I'm not good enough. It wasn't, it's impossible. The biggest lie was, I'll do it later. Because later became tomorrow. Tomorrow became next month. Next month became next year. And next year became another lost opportunity. From that day forward, the chimp adopted a simple rule. If it matters, start now. Not perfectly, not completely. Just start. Because action creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates confidence. And confidence creates change. The chimp didn't become successful overnight. He didn't become fearless. He didn't become perfect. But he stopped waiting. And that changed everything. Because life rarely changes when you think about changing it. Life changes when you begin. So ask yourself one question. What have you been telling yourself you'll do later? And how much longer are you willing to wait? If you're done believing the biggest lie, comment. Today, below, subscribe to Chimp Mind and join us for the next lesson. The evolution continues.